It has been a long 14 days, but we're back. Hello everyone and welcome to round 10 of the NEF1 Season 7 Championship. The continuation of the championship. We're into the second act of the proceedings now, and it is clutch time for every single driver involved in the league. 9 races still to go. We're at the halfway mark of the championship, and we're going to bring you the championship standings quite soon. It's going to be an interesting one, this. Spanish Grand Prix is up next for the second to last race in Europe over the course of the season, and we have 2 sprints to wrap up the European stage. We got Spain this week, we got Belgium in Spa next week. It's going to be a very, very interesting one, but 18 minutes worth of qualifying action then to decide who is on pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix. Padarang 900 first out on track in his Aston Martin, looking for a better second half of the season than his first. Wasn't really the kind of run who would have been hoping to go on, but still a lot of time to recover and make something of it. Out of contention for the championship though, not mathematically, but realistically. I like to speak in realistic terms. So then, 15 drivers in the lobby. I've just got to double check what the attendance records was on. I'm a bit unsure. Bit all over the place, but it is what it is. Worthy news to point out then, Undercheck 51, after having won the three last races in a row as a reserve, has been upgraded to a full-time driver. He's replacing Snixor 4 in Mercedes, and now he's finally going to be able to get the season well and truly on the go. 83 points collected in 3 weekends for Undercheck then. Absolutely splendid run. Padarang 900 then is out on his first fast lap of the session. Quite a couple of people coming out. JV8, Nasi, Djokovic, Iwatts, Spenkler, Squidge, Wigan and Matty all out on track at the moment. Decent little run this from Padarang 900 so far, through the infamous turn 4 and into turn 5. Left-handed kink here under the Rolex boards, that's turn 6, followed by turn 7, and then a very slight kink to the right is turn 8, followed up by now flat through turn 9 here. DRS wide open, getting a nice little toe from the Alpine, and I believe that was an Alpha Tauri. Mostly the Alpine's doing. He'll be sending, that would have probably been Iwatts a greeting card after the race saying thank you very much. And through the now, in my opinion, very boring last sector, because it's basically just flat running all to the line. They took every piece of character out of this track, but people seem to like it for some reason, and a 112.324 is the time to beat. Jake2906 saying, hello Savas, how are you? I am doing very, very well. My English is a bit shaky because I haven't used it in 14 days, but other than that, I'm absolutely splendid, mate. How's your evening going? Hybrid 472K Van is out on track P2 at the moment, yet to set a time. Championship leader after last week is Nasi31, having a very, very good little season so far. He is gapping Djokovic at the moment. Djokovic had an absolutely horrid time last week out in Australia. Now, let's see, Nasi, not a good last corner bet, that's going to cost him time, but still good enough for P1. Means he's probably got a little bit of a margin there. Djokovic, 111.678, but that wasn't a good run through the last corner for Nasi at all. Probably cost him at least a 10th. So then, let's see, Nasi very well and up to form straight away. No Larks currently heading into turn 10. Which they also ruined for some reason, just deciding to remove the hard braking zone and just, I don't know. I should be the track designer in Formula 1. I feel like I do a much better job than every single person doing it at the moment. Here we go then, no Larks through the last corner. What is he going to be able to do? It's 112.323, good enough for P6, just behind his teammate by a couple of hundredths of a second, and these two are lapping close to each other ahead of time as well, as I have some insider information about. Jake saying that his Swedish is probably more ropey than my English. Fair enough. Hybrids weaving a bit all over the place, meaning this is probably not a fast lap. Danny has apparently been looking quite good over the course of practice out of this race so far as well. But he started off by dipping a tire too much in the grass, and that is lap time gone. Another man who's hoping to have a better second half of the season than he had the first half, that's Darren Style, but he's not really flying at the moment in Q1. Sorry, not Q1, in qualifying. P9 there for the Swedish Red Bull driver, 113.255, needs to improve by quite a bit in order to secure himself a top 10 start here. Remember, only the top 8 score in a sprint race, and the hybrid of 116.599 is not going to get in anywhere near there. Undercheck then in the black Mercedes for the first time in NEF1, and finally back as a full-time driver in NEF1, having won the last 3 races. Let's see what he's going to be able to do now that he's got a bit of security in that Merc seat. And through the final corner, wearing something that looks very much like a Senna helmet, goes P2. Still a little bit of a gap to Nassi, who is going to be having a personal issue with Undercheck after the way that he took the Australian Grand Prix victory away from him on the very last lap. Nassi's not going to be impressed by that whatsoever. Undercheck played an absolute brilliant safety car restart late on that week, though. Definitely deserved the win, but heartbreak for Nassi losing it in the way he did. Speaking about Nassi, his teammate as well out on track at the moment, doing the same thing that Danny did previously, dipping a tire too many in the grass, and that is lap over and done with for ABT. ABT is having a much better season than his previous couple of attempts. I feel like we're in a calm stage at the moment, so let's just have a little look at how the Drivers' Championship looks as of right now. Undercheck's on his way to an in-lap, so that's fine. We got Nassi leading championship on 155 points, and after last week's disaster for Djokovic, finds himself down in P2, still with a gap to Matty MC, but on 144 points, 11 points up to P1 man Nassi. Looking down, we have Matty and ABT, 25 points separate the two. ABT is on a hunt this season, might well be able to nibble into that top 3, but then watch behind because Squidge and especially Undercheck is right there. Undercheck then 83 points in 3 weeks' time. That is, I don't know if it's unheard of, but very, very close to it, surely. Spenclose in P7, followed by Dan in P8, Nolux in P9, and Jamar in P10. Looking at the constructors, they took a massive swing in favour of McLaren last week out when they secured a double podium at the end of the Australian Grand Prix. Nassi and BT doing the job that they had to. Danny, sadly absent, and Djokovic having a nightmare race, and now they find themselves over 50 points behind in the Constructors' Championship. It's not over yet, still 9 races to go, but it's looking hard. AlphaTauri and Williams, closest battle on paper at the moment. Other than Aston Martin and Mercedes, we're expecting Mercedes to have a leap now with Undercheck at the helm, though. So we'll see how that all plays into consideration. But right now, we're looking at a very interesting battle for the P2, 3, and 4 slots. Ferrari, AlphaTauri, and Williams. So then, it's going to be an interesting one. This got a couple of minutes left in qualifying here. It's starting to come into halfway stage. 9:24 to go. Both BTs having a little bit of a wiggle moment heading into Sector 3. That's not going to be the right way to approach it. And Danny, let's see if he decides to wiggle a bit as well. Looks relatively planted. There we go, across the line, up to P6, 112.197, about half a second off P2 at the moment, which isn't bad at all, but does need to find a little bit of time. Ahead of Matty MC and No Larks, crucially both the Ferraris, who will be desperate to at least keep these two behind them. They'll want to get ahead of the McLarens, but as long as they're ahead of the opposition, that should be all good and dandy. Thank you very much, Christina, as well. Yeah, everything's absolutely splendid. Finally back to doing a bit of commentary. It's been a while now. It's been a long 14 days, let me tell you. Over the course, should be said as well, everyone who's currently watching this from Sweden is going to be able to relate. Over the course of this off-season break, every Swedish person has gone through basically 3 different seasons. We've had autumn, spring, and winter, all in the last 2 weeks. So it definitely has been a long 14 days, but finally back and into spring season as well now, hopefully. Darren Style up in the P12, followed by what's up in the P13, JV8 14th, and BT not a time on the board as of yet. That is reminiscent of his early qualifying efforts this season at the moment. A BT, quite a couple of races there in the beginning of the season where he just failed to get out of Q1 even. Jimmy Jackson for the first time in the chat tonight. Hello mate, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Cheering on JV8. Quite a couple of supporters for a couple of different drivers. Then I am an absolute fool because Djokovic has just gone fastest with a 1:11.330, and I'm very, very sorry about that. Hopefully we'll see that time beaten once again this session. No pun intended to Djokovic. But it would be slightly awkward if I completely missed the pole position lap. Just give me a couple of minutes to settle back into the rhythm of things. It's going to be a little while, but it's going to be fine. I promise you that. Not quite my intention though. Oh, crying out loud. Nazi's just gone fastest as I went to pick up my phone and just have a look at the chat for a little bit. Nazi's gone fastest with a 1:11.302. I'm absolutely awful tonight. If anyone does fancy a commentary job in NEF1, I will give you the email address between qualifying and the race, and you just let me know. Ondercheck at the moment, just behind them in P3 as well. Thankfully he didn't go on pole position. 1:11.341, so it is incredibly close between the top three, separated by half a tenth of a second. Incredibly close stuff between the top three, which is to be expected at a track like this, where lap times are gonna fall quite similarly to each other. We'll see how it all ensues in the race. Race pace could be very different to qualifying pace, and it is looking rather overcast as well. A little bit of rain could definitely mix up the proceedings of this. That's an awful camera angle left for Darren Stiles. Let's switch to another one. What on earth was that camera? It was absolutely appalling. Darren Stiles then heading through the last sector. It's absolutely flat for this first right-hander. You go flat for this one, but you change down. Is the technique I've usually used. And across the line, 1:12.798. Roots by half second, but it's not good enough to do anything above P13. Darren struggling for pace. Say BT gonna struggle for pace is the question. Needs to nail this lap now, because I don't know if he's gonna be able to go on another run. He will just have time for one more run, perhaps, if he does a very, very quick in-lap. Crucial for him at the moment is just get a time on the board, is the thing he's going to be focusing on at this stage. Still P15, don't want to start there, even though it's a sprint weekend. And not a time on the board, straight into the pit lane, surely for a BT. They've removed the bump from the pit lane here. Thankfully, they absolutely destroyed Austria whilst they removed that bump, but that's besides the point. I'm not bitter we ditched Austria in terms of Australia. We're in favour for Australia as well. Wow, crikey hell, I looked at the chat again and now on board with hybrid as well as something went wrong. I'm resigning from this job now. I'm genuinely resigning. Hybrid then is out of session. The viewers are actually going to have a better idea of what happened than I do there. But hybrid is out of the session with 3 minutes 50 to go. Not really going to be too much of a shake-up. A little bit of gap down to iWatts and Darren Style in P12 and P13. But I'm having an awful night tonight. I really do apologize. It's been a while since I had a performance this shit. Here we go then. Danny is heading through Sector 1. We're getting into the stage where we're getting into the last runs of qualifying here. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch indeed. And I'm going to try to stay focused all throughout those 2.5 minutes. Undercheck's heading out fast. Danny at the moment on a 1:11.840. Looked like the car got a bit slippy on him through turn 7, which it can do. Flat all throughout turn 9 and DRS open immediately. As you would. heading into turn 10. This is a really awkward corner to get the power down now. Danny's got no battery left whatsoever. This isn't going to be a fast lap. It's going to be a quick in lap, I reckon. It's got no battery whatsoever. Surely coming into the pit lane, and yes, he is. No one on a fast lap at the moment, which means I can actually afford to look at... Oh, never mind. Wiggins on a fast lap. I'm not going to look at the chat for a second now. So, we're saying bye-bye to everyone involved in the chat until this qualifying session is over. Please let me know what you think of the qualifying session after, and especially my commentary. Feel free to give me some absolute harsh criticism, because I absolutely deserve it. Here we go, Wiggins 71 heading into Sector 2. Nicely done there through turn 8 and 9. 7, 8 and 9 should be said, sorry. Very tricky section of track to get right. Now everyone's basically heading out on track. Djokovic's coming out on track now, I would assume. It's either him or Danny. Both of them are coming out now. Quick lap around here, only about a 1:30 for an out lap probably. Wiggin then through the last corner. What is he going to be able to do? It's 2 temps up to the nearest car. That's Spenclose. Is Wiggin going to be able to do it? No. Stays P7, improves by a couple of thousandths of a second. Ondrejek is placing a bit for pole position, but he has had that lap ruined, but he's going to have time to go one more time. Squidge 2017 up in P5 at the moment, then 111.881 was his teammate. He is just ahead of him on track. Then there's a Red Bull somewhere, that's Wiggin. There's 2 Ferraris, none of them are on fast laps, neither is Ondrejek, but he'll soon start one. Padarang's the only remaining Aston Martin. He's just coming around the final corner now, and Matty is on a fast lap. Just started one. Okay, so I think I've got an idea where everyone is. Spenclose then, let's go. Sorry, his teammates behind on track. Never mind. Spenclose coming round the flat turn 10, or the flat turn 9 should be said. This corner is absolutely not flat. If you would be able to take a flat, that's pole position granted. And this is just an awkward corner. Just an awkward corner to try to get your power down at. Flat basically now until the end of the lap. Car diving into the pit lane. Is that one of the Red Bulls? Probably Wiggin, I would imagine. And onto the line. Improves by a 10.5, but doesn't improve his lap too much. Squidge comes across the line. Doesn't improve. Ondrejek then is going to be first out of these guys to cross the line. No Matty and no Larks will be. Let's see what they're going to be able to do. It's going to be no Larks first. We'll watch his lap from Matty's on board as well. See what he's going to be able to do. If he needs to come up with a couple of attempts. There's a sideways Red Bull just at the exit of the corner, and that's going to hinder both no Larks and Matty's run slightly. Ondrejek's coming up the line. Is he going to be able to improve up to pole position? Doesn't look so, and no, he's invalidated. That is Ondrejek out of contention. Nassi at the moment is not improving on his fastest lap. I believe BT is not either. BT might well be starting this race in P15. I believe he will. Djokovic, is he going to be able to pull it out of the bag in the last corner now? He's got a couple of more meters to go, but is he going to be able to do it? No, he doesn't. Nassi's on pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix, unless Danny can come up with a belter. No, he can't. Both the Williams on cooldown laps. Spenclose, he's not going to be able to pull anything of it. Nassi, 31, ladies and gentlemen, is on pole position for the Spanish Grand Prix. Djokovic did everything he could, but just shy of a result. Ondrejek in P3. BT with a terrible session and creating a McLaren sandwich for the entire field. Unfortunately, that is gutting for AB2. He's had a really good run of form over the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, that ends tonight, in terms of qualifying, that is. Still a long way to go. 44 laps will be ran, divided over 11 and 33. NEDC, decent qualifying effort from him as well. He'll be delighted with the poor qualifying efforts of ABT as well. Hopefully, for the 2 Ferraris, they'll be able to grab some points off them. And we can see there it's a considerable gap from the top 3 down to Danny DC. 4 attempts he would have had to improve by almost half a second to just bridge the top 3, but then again very close between the top 3 as well. Squidge and Spen close, both the Williams P5 and P6 on the third row of the grid, followed by Wigan and Matty, Nolarks and Padarang inside the top 10. Hybrid iWatt Sternstyle JV8, P11 through 14, and ABT starting last here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Let's see what his setup is like for overtaking, because he is going to have to do quite a bit of it. So then everyone, we are going to be taking a quick little break before we get the sprint race underway. Everyone knows the procedure. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes for full coverage of the NEF1 sprint here at... have I said Bahrain? I think I should have said Spain if that's the case, if I said Bahrain. We'll be back soon with the sprint race around Spain here. 11 laps worth to decide who gets the full 8 points out of this race. We'll be right back. As unfortunately we have had someone readying up too early, which that's going to be an instant qualifying ban, and we're getting the race underway early. Formation lap, everyone get back to your seats. And we've had a full admission of guilt as well. Classy. That was not meant to be sarcastic. That actually is classy behavior, admitting up to something that's going to give you quite a hefty penalty. Sounded incredibly sarcastic when I said it. Here we go then. Formation lap ahead of 11 laps worth of racing. DRS will be enabled on lap 3. Next game will be enabled on lap 1. That's actually going to be a really fun addition to league racing, I reckon. Could spice things up quite a bit, but for now, Nasty will have 3 laps to try to bridge the field by 1 second in order to get out of that DRS zone. A DRS zone which is incredibly powerful around here at Spain. It's a long run down to turn 1. It's a long main straight as well. Overtaking is possible heading into turn 10 that we're just looking at. But it's made significantly harder by the fact they've just removed the braking zone there. I don't know why they did it, but they did. But everyone seems to have recovered from that early ready up quite well. What we want to see. As for Jimmy Jackson, yes, I do stream this every single Monday. Same driver, same commentator, usually. Unless anything happens, unless I get fired by the rest of the admin team after this performance. So yeah, every single Monday, same time. Do stay tuned. Thank you for the compliment as well. Here we go then. We are about to go 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. Hopefully there's not too big of a delay. That's a little bit of a delay. As there we go, finally, red lights are coming on, and we're not going to be able to see when they come off because this is a brilliant camera angle. iWatts gets a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, and Nasi gets away relatively well. Awful camera angles here. Djokovic is going to be sleeking up his inside, heading into turn 1. Is he going to be able to outbrake? Nasi heading into turn 1, yes, and they very close to each other. Just barely avoiding contact there, but avoiding contact crucially. Now, Djokovic into turn 4. Is he going to be able to pull a move down the inside? Maybe gets close, but no, not quite close enough. But a decent effort nonetheless. Nasi maintaining position here at the start from Djokovic. Undercheck. Spenclose had a decent start up 2 positions on Danny, and Squidge who's battling away further down the field. Side by side heading into turn 8, but one of them is going to have to bud. That is Squidge 2017. Danny up in P5, still down in position on where he started. Virtual safety car here at the end, or at the middle of lap 1. Puts a halt on proceedings rather significantly. Darren Style, worthy of mention here, up 5 positions on the start. Beatty up a couple as well, from last up to 12th. Matty down 3 positions on the start. Not what he would have been hoping for. Iwat's at the moment down 2 places, and with a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, he's not going to have a particularly entertaining afternoon. Oh, and tell you who almost made a mess out of that start, and that did affect Danny rather significantly because he went too early, and that is a drive-through penalty for Danny DC for speeding under the virtual safety car as well. Just as it came in, it was very close to happen to Nasi. It did happen to Danny, and the question is, did Danny think that it was fine to go just because Nasi might have gone a bit too early? It's an interesting one. Obviously, all the drivers have the delta information on their screens, but it's a bizarre moment. Djokovic then is going to be right on Nasi's tail. Van Ondercheck, you can never count him out either. Currently sitting in P3, McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes, followed by Williams and Red Bull. 5 different teams inside the top 5. Wigan at the moment having a really good one up in P5. First proper run down to turn 10, and a little bit of a slipstream, but as said, it's very hard to overtake there with DRS. It's flat out impossible basically without it. And sprint race is going to be no mandatory pit stops, and the possible race strategies, or the possible race strategies if you want to have a decent result, is a no stop. Undercheck, fastest lap at the Grand Prix so far, 1:13.772. We're going to see that beat a couple of times over the course of the race, I reckon. DRS is enabled. Djokovic just pulling to the inside, but that's probably just to get a decent view of what's out of him and try to spot a break inside. Meanwhile, Sondercheck is just holding back a little bit maybe and waiting for how this battle ahead of him unfolds. No massive point swings in these sprint races. You do need a decent finish in them though, because you can lose quite a couple of points, but you don't gain anything basically from just trying to snatch 1 position away. Better to finish P3 and take the 2-point hit in the championship than not finish at all. Take an 8-point hit. So here we go then, close between the top runners as usual. I think this season surely must be the one where I've given the least attention to the midfield and lower field as well. But there's a fight for the lead every single race, and it usually goes on for the entirety of the race, making it very hard. Battle for the lead is just coming alive here, because Djokovic with DRS, as soon as he got it, was able to breeze past Nasi51 into the braking zone. Aggressive but fair, and Djokovic is into the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix sprint, and Djokovic is a master of these sprint races, should be said as well. Does enjoy this format. Well, have you noticed, well, Spenclose has had an issue somewhere, I don't quite know where, down in P14 at the moment, so something must have gone quite significantly wrong for him. I'm sure we're going to find out a bit later, maybe. That's a bit of an odd one, didn't notice anything really going on. So here we go, with DRS once again down the main straight, then is Nasi going to be able to capitalize on Djokovic now maybe being a little bit of a sitting duck in the straight line? Yes, he absolutely is. That gap is being eaten up by the meter, and Nasi breezes past Djokovic to take back the lead of the race here on lap 5. And now this is going to turn relatively interesting Undercheck is now soon surely gonna start getting aggressive. Say Beatty's making moves as well. Up until the point from starting last, is a decent race this from a Beatty. He's had a bit of help ahead of him, especially people with drive-through penalties. There's been a couple this race, but doing a very, very decent job. Ondercheck has gone ahead of Djokovic. I did not expect that in the middle of the lap, but Ondercheck now up in P2 and gonna have at Nasi again. Nasi's gonna be getting PTSD. Through the last couple of corners, then almost flat through the last corner. Now let's see how quick Ondercheck is in a straight line. Nasi's going to be forced towards the defensive for maybe the majority of this race now, depending on when Ondercheck fancies a proper go at him. We've seen Ondercheck do this before, just sizing up his opponent before making a very decisive move. Never really involved in a battle Ondercheck because he doesn't let it turn into one. It's a very good strategy. It's a absolutely brilliant racecraft from Ondercheck. But he does like sitting behind quite a bit and just letting his opponent do the work for him, wearing him down, and then get the move done at earliest convenience. Keep in mind the difference between P1 and P2 in this race, only one single championship point. Djokovic is hanging in there as well, 6 tenths behind Ondercheck. Here we go then, DRS enable, lap 7 out of 11, 4 laps to go, including this one. Oh, gets close to the inside, but just hangs back a little bit, and opting to wait yet another lap perhaps. No Lark's getting very close to the back of Wigan, pulls to the inside, but thinks better of it. Matty very close to the back of Beatty as well. So Red Bull going slowly in sector 3, that is Danny DC 97. Oh, see, Beatty's drifting a bit wide here. That's gonna allow Matty to turn up the interest quite a bit. Govan heading into turn 10, not going to be able to get the move done heading into there, as I believe we're bound for round 3 of Nasi vs Ondercheck. So we are DRS enabled. And Ondercheck's approaching, maybe towards the inside, not quite. This is what I was talking about. Ondercheck at the moment just content to sit behind Nasi, wear him down, and when Ondercheck will inevitably want to pass, as there's been a problem for Djokovic once again, and the bad run of form continues from Australia with yet another error. Needs to get back on track, needs to get that rubble off the tyres, because Nolax and Wiggins coming up rather rapidly behind him. Squidge at the moment in P3. Oh, Djokovic a bit iffy with the grip levels of the car there. As Matty was able to clear a Beatty as well, worth pointing out. So here we go, and no one behind them. Nasi versus Ondercheck, straight fight the line, 3 laps to go. Lap 9, lap 10 and lap 11. When's Ondercheck gonna make his move? He's closer this time than he's been before. Is he gonna do it? Pulls to the inside I'm gonna go side by side through turn 1. I think Nassi's got to back out of that one. Ondrzejczyk runs a bit deeper coming out of turn 2, but that is move done from Ondrzejczyk. Now let's see, he needs to bridge a gap here. He's gonna leave himself vulnerable. Nassi rather good at sticking with drivers ahead of him after just being overtaken. 5/10 of a second is the gap. Matty's had an issue coming through turn 3 as well. Quite a big issue, seemingly. Outside points down to P12. Spain, seemingly a track that breeds issues for the, well, definitely the experienced drivers at the moment, seemingly. Djokovic, Spenklos, Danny, Iwatts, Matty, all now with unforced errors, potentially. Here we go then, Nassi versus Ondrzejczyk. The first time Nassi's gonna do some attacking on Ondrzejczyk this race. Lap 9 out of 11, 2 laps to go. And he pulls to the inside, relatively relaxed, and takes back the lead of the race. Ondrzejczyk, very relaxed inside that cockpit. And now there's going to be a straight fight down the line next time, because only one more run to go down that long back straight. That is going to be a very interesting one. Does Nassi have enough to defend with? Ondrzejczyk is going to leave it to turn 1 one last time, but is Nassi going to be able to defend it? Needs to get aggressive here, Nassi, if he wants to maintain this P1. Yeah, Ondrzejczyk not interested whatsoever in even having a look down the inside of turn 10. So then, unless we have a mistake on the last lap, it is going to be decided on this run then, approaching the final corner for the second to last time. But it will be the last time down this massive straight. Nassi versus Ondrzejczyk. Who is going to have the momentum? Everything is going to be put into this, but Ondrzejczyk just has so much more. Nassi's not going to be able to defend from this one, and on the last lap again for the second race in a row, Ondrzejczyk snatches the lead away from Nassi, and it's just cruel at this point. Oh, Nassi doing so well, keeping Ondrzejczyk at bay, but just might not be quite enough this time either. Ondrzejczyk leads Nassi and Squidge. Win at the moment, running a very, very good race. Should be set up in P6. Beatty's gone past him, up 10 positions, now up in P5. So he's definitely going to be a player for the Grand Prix that is to come. Nassi now going to have one more go at this potentially, up in turn 10, but he's nowhere close. Padarang at the moment looks comfortable to grab the final point down in P8. No locks for 2 points in P7, but Ondrzejczyk, for the second race in a row, snatching the lead away of the race on the last lap of the race from Nassi as well. It's Ondrzejczyk, makes it 4 for 4 in his tenure in NEF1, takes the Spanish Grand Prix sprint race. Nassi finishes P2 with Squidge in P3. Djokovic is going to come home in P4. He'll be disappointed not getting a podium here, but the Grand Prix is still all to play for. Beatty, brilliant recovery, up to P5. Wigan takes a couple of points in P6, followed by No Larks and Patrang. Just looking at the stream, what's been going on as well. Jake pointing out Danny's race. There has not been a good one for the other Ferrari lad at all. P13 after the drive-through penalty on the virtual safety car ending there. Yeah, couldn't do anything other than P13. Not really close to JV8 at the end as well. So it's a difficult one for both Danny, Spenklos and Iwatts. Not a brilliant race from Matty either, worth pointing out. So those four are going to be really interesting watching through the Grand Prix. Matty basically saying he had a stupid mistake, the little thing we pointed out earlier on there, and that's probably why he dropped out of points in the end. Unfortunate for Matty. Very, very good race from these two. Ondrzej and Nassi take top honors once again, not for the first time this season, won't be the last. Squidge in P3, followed by Djokovic, ABT, Win, Larksam, Padrang. That is the current standings of the weekend. 8 points to Ondrzej, 1 to Padrang. And all numbers in between those two guys. So then, fine. Hopefully we're gonna be able to get the full break now before the Grand Prix that is to come. So we'll be it's going well right now. We'll be going to a slightly longer break than last time before we get the Grand Prix underway. 33 laps worth of racing action is coming up in a couple of moments' time. Don't go anywhere, stay with us. We'll be right back for the full coverage of the Spanish Grand Prix. So then everyone, we are back at an overcast Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya here. We're about to get underway with the Spanish Grand Prix. We're going to be waiting a couple of minutes more for yet another driver, hopefully to be able to join the session. Starting from last, obviously, is missed qualifying and the... That's not going well so far. But it is what it is. There we go, the official ready up by the admin team has been given. We'll be getting underway in about 30 seconds time for the Spanish Grand Prix. 33 laps worth of racing action, 3 times the length of the sprint race. But I reckon it's going to be a race that goes by rather quickly. Already a quick session this, we usually by this stage of the event about 10 minutes later. And obviously 33 laps worth of this circuit. Goes by quick, only about 1:15 in terms of lap times here in the race. So it's going to go by quick, this race, just over half an hour probably. So we'll be done quite early with this event if everything goes to plan. No safety cars for the sprint, but let's see if we have some for the Grand Prix, because we are go for the formation lap. And Undertech has now claimed that P1 slot on the grid, meaning he'll have no slipstream whatsoever heading into the first corner. And this is the longest run on the calendar as well. Worth pointing that out, even longer than Monza. Nasi 31 and Squidge 2017 in P2 and P3, followed by Djokovic, BT and Wigan P4, 5 and 6. Followed by No Larks, Padarang, Darstyle and Hybrid. Matty in P11, followed by JV8 in P12. Danny in P13, not happy with his race, neither was Matty. There followed by Spenklo64, who had something happen to him in the middle of the sprint race. I don't know quite what. And Iwat having a poor result as well, down in P15. The man who last started P15 on the grid is at the moment currently up in P5, and that is a BT. Had a really good sprint race actually, so let's see if he can have a very good performance here as well, scoring a couple of more points for the McLaren outfit. McLaren outfit as well, that right now is running away with the Constructors' Championship. It's worth pointing out. At the moment, 50 odd points ahead. So then, everyone in chat just watching the race, leave your predictions for the Grand Prix. Who's going to win, who's going to come P2, and who's going to come P3. We'll get back to that throughout the race. Undercheck, Nasi, and Squidge starting in those top 3 positions. Squidge, the best, realistically in the best position here at the start with that slipstream heading down turn 1. But he needs to get the launch. Djokovic in P4, followed by beating P5. Here we go, we're seeing a Alpine lineup there right at the back. That is Iwas towards the right hand side of the screen, Williams towards the left. And then everyone's parked, we will be getting going. Couple of glitches here early on, but that's gonna solve itself very, very soon. As soon as light starts coming on. For some reason it's displaying J in the lead of the Grand Prix. He is not. Usually just takes a moment or two for the game to sort these things out. Always interesting when it does this. Doesn't need to get this interesting. So I hate to break it to you, JV8, but you're holding this up massively. So another couple of seconds, if it doesn't work out, you'll need to leave the lobby and come back. Oh, he's DNF from the session instead of just leaving and rejoining, and it's a bit questionable. But here we go. Nasi gets away well following Undercheck. Nasi very much is going to be able to challenge into turn 1. He might well take P1 away from Undercheck here at the very start. Yes, he will. Brakes early. Why? Oh no. What on earth happened there? Nasi braking very, very early heading into turn 1. A beat to taking P... What just happened? What did just happen? A beat then up to P2, followed by Nasi in P3, Squidge in P4. I thought Nasi well and truly had... I thought Nasi had that start and had that position heading into turn 1. Undercheck now with 1.2 second gap already. It's exactly what he would have been hoping for. No Larks up to P5, carrying Alpha Tauri at the moment in this race, because Matty's had a shocking start. He's down in last. And now, nice little move over from ABT, starting on the hard tyres, mind you, as well. Just letting Nasi go there, so he can go after Undercheck. But the damage might already been done. I'd want to have a look at that start again after the race for sure. Undercheck 1.7 seconds ahead now. It's quite a sizable gap, especially at the front of the field. It's going to be hard for Nasi to make that up. But something went on heading into the fast corner. I have no clue what. Squidge now lining up ABT's on the worst tyre as well. Worth pointing out, Nasi did start on the softs, whereas Undercheck started on the mediums. So that could explain some of the deficit on the start. But Nasi, I don't know if he got the brakings done massively wrong or what happened. Interesting stuff nonetheless. Couple of winners at the start, no massive losers really. Matty down 2 positions, made it past iWatts again. Hybrid and Darren currently doing a battle throughout Sector 1. No Larks has been overtaken by Djokovic, who didn't have the best of starts either. Darren and Hybrid go wheel to wheel. Hybrid coming out victorious in that little battle in the Aston Martin. Not quite flat through that corner yet. I think Darren tried just running a bit wide, and that is going to allow Spenklo 6-4 to take that position away. Like snatching candy from a baby, and now Danny's right there for the taking as well. Right there to take the position away from Darren, should be said. Squidge very much on the back of BT. DRS will be enabled on this lap. Nasi, fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, worth pointing out, 1:14.953. Ooh, maybe a run down the outside? No, not quite. Squidge just holding back a little bit from a BT now. Maybe could have gotten that overtake done. Wants to get past BT as quick as possible in order for BT maybe to hold up Djokovic a little bit. Keep in mind this is a championship battle well and truly alive now. McLaren, they're defending the Constructors' Championship, and BT now surely is going to start protecting Nasi a little bit for the Drivers' Championship. Whilst this is going on, it's a little bit of a train behind ABT at the moment. Squidge, Djokovic, no Larks. Padarang is breaking that train a little bit. But BT is going to be slightly pissing people off on that hard tyre. Not the ideal tyre to start on, but it's working out well for BT at the moment. He's creating a lot of breathing room for the 2 front runners to battle this one up. But Nasi not catching Undercheck at the moment, even though he has a tyre advantage over him. That is worrying signs. Undercheck's never really ran away with racing NEF1 before. Might he start tonight? Here we go then. Squidge versus ABT. This one's going to be over before we even get to the exit of the pit lane, and Djokovic's going to follow him straight through. Not through. BT goes a little bit wide on corner entry, and means he loses position to no Larks as well. 3 positions in one straight might be some sort of NEF1 record. I'm not saying that to piss people off or to piss BT off as I usually do. But I don't think I've seen someone lose 3 positions quite like that before. But that is just a result of the hard tie and not really working out here at the start. Might have made a miscalculation going on it. Don't think anyone else did. iWatts did. He's 4.2 seconds behind Darren, which I think is quite telling. Djokovic then now 5.3 tenths of a second off Squidge. Squidge 3 seconds of Nasi. Nasi who's gaining by about half a tenth a lap on undercheck at the moment. Which means it's going to take a while for this battle to get underway. Here we go with DRS then, Djokovic on Squidge. We got an Aston Martin going slowly coming out of the last corner, and Djokovic pulls to the inside, takes P3 away from Squidge 2017. And now the top, well, very well could be the top 3 in the championship this season, all sharing the podium. As things stand, Squidge less than 2 tenths behind Djokovic, heading through the first sector. As Matty's race unfolding, he's basically nowhere, not being challenged by Hybrid from behind, not being able to get close to Matty ahead. Started on a medium tire, is getting nothing done. Matty MC in this race. Spain usually a track where he pulls the result out of the bag, but might not be the case for this season. Still a long way to go, but it's quite far down already. Oh, Spenclose almost getting a bit twitchy coming out of the second last corner there. Manages to keep the car intact. And now there's a big old train from everyone up to Djokovic. Starts with a Ferrari, ends with a Ferrari. Danny DC97. Everyone between those have the DRS. So this is what we call an almighty DRS train. That is not going to be broken for quite some time unless Padarang falls out of touch with a BT, which he is about to do. And that leaves Padarang in a very grim position if that's the case. And Padarang's going to be sitting happy in that DRS train at the moment on the hard tyres. Just giving him a bit of protection. Squidge there runs a bit wide coming out of turn 9 as well, but he's managed to stick with Djokovic quite well. Nasi at the moment. Not really sticking with Undercheck, who started to gap him a little bit. 2.1 seconds now to gap, was 1.7 out of the first lap. His teammate down in P6 at the moment on a hard tyres, 4 attempts behind Nolarks. Not really being able to put the pressure on because of this DRS train that's unfolding. Squidge rather aggressively moving along with Djokovic, should be said. Djokovic very aggressively towards the inside of the track as soon as the straight started. And Wiggins been able to get past Padarang, but it does come with a Cosbig's gap between BT and Wiggins now 1.2 seconds, which means DRS train will be broken if this goes on for another lap. Wiggin just needs to climb back within touching distance of BT now. Darren, 3-second time penalty to be added on at the end of the race. Multiple track limits infractions, not going to help him really. And Spenclose has now been able to get ahead of Padarang potentially in the final sector. Two gonna go side by side actually. Didn't think we'd see any action. Oh, Spenclose getting a bit twitchy on the exit. Just managing to hold on, and now we have got that break in the DRS train that we were looking for. No Larks and ABT are doing battle, and BT says thank you very much and bye bye No Larks. Djokovic just a fence away from Squidge at the moment. It's an interesting stage at the Grand Prix this. Lap 8 out of 33. Still a very, very long way to go. About a quarter into this race. But it's shaping up to be a relatively close one. The front runners ran away with it a little bit. Djokovic 3 seconds behind. He's not closing that up at the moment, especially when he has to defend from Squidge. Oh, that is a Ferrari into the wall. That is Danny DC just losing the rear end. Needs to be careful to not... Oh, still in 7th gear. It's not going to help him. We have a full core safety car here on lap 8 out of 33. But Danny DC into the wall on the left-handed corner of turn 7. Was always bound to claim someone that corner. Danny DC just going through. Usually when that happens, it's when you turn the steering wheel for a bit too long. However bizarre that sounds. The car loses traction and you can do nothing about that spin when it starts. You can do absolutely nothing about it. You're straight headed for the wall. People are coming in then. BT on that hard tire. It's looking like an absolute genius and staying out. Wiggins staying out on a set of mediums, wanting track position. Undercheck at the moment. Being able to pit relatively scot-free. Matty staying out. That could be a problem if Matty's able to show some pace. Undercheck out on a set of hard tires, and this is where Nassi's gamble on the softs might pay off, because Undercheck's now locked in to that hard tire, maybe for the rest of the race. It's been a decent race tire, though, must be said, for a BT. Undercheck is gonna know that, surely, if he listens to the stream. This has rather benefited iWatts as well at the moment, should be said. He's not pitted yet. Which means when he does, because I believe most people behind him have pitted. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, everyone behind iWatts has pitted, so this has actually worked out terribly for iWatts. But he's back in the fold. If he was smart, he'd probably pit on this lap, just not to get in sync and up to touch with everyone. We'll see what he elects to do at the end of this one, really. Guess we should have a look at what tire everyone's on. So a couple of guys still on their original starting tires. That's BT, Wigan, and Matty. They are going to be absolutely screwed by the end of this stint, I reckon. Undercheck and Nassi split strategies once again. Undercheck on the hard and Nassi on the mediums. Undercheck going a bit more conservative. Nassi going aggressive. Djokovic going conservative on the hards, looking to go long. Then we have iWatts going to break up the pack a little bit, followed by Squidge on the hard and No Larks on the softs. Then it's hard for Spenclose and Padrang, followed by soft for Darren Stahl and hard for Danny DC. No Larks is coming into the pit lane. Having put a set of softs on, that means he'll have been on 2 tire sets. Might he want to go on a set of mediums, so did he mess that up a little bit? iWatts heading into the pit lane as well, just to get that pit stop done. Now going to be real interesting as well. Guess who's in the lead of the race? Say Beat. He's going to be doing everything he can to hold Undercheck up as much as possible. Maybe a couple of dirty tactics. We'll wait and see. Wigan in P2 followed by Matty in P3. I think P2 would much prefer if Nassi was able to get ahead of Undercheck on the pit stops here. Just to be able to block Undercheck a little bit from getting past, actually creating a gap between the two. But we'll see. Might not be any foul play going on at all with the tactics. Could just be a straight race to the flag. Looks like a close call there between former teammates Wigan and Matty as well, almost running into the back of each other here on the safety car. And the safety car that's coming in at the end of this lap, worth pointing out, which means BT's going to assume control of the pace of the field and restart this race at his convenience as soon as safety car is into the pits, should be said. BT going almightily slow here on this in-lap, or here on the safety car restart. But when does he decide to go? Needs to surprise Wigan a little bit, and he does. Wigan not really able to follow through. Matty not really able to follow Wigan. I'll tell you who is following Matty at the moment. Undercheck, and on a better tyre, needs to get past Matty as soon as possible. That's going to give him a brilliant opportunity to shake Nassi a little bit as well. Pulls to the inside. Is he going to be able to do it on that colder, harder tyre? Yes, Matty doesn't give him much of a fight at all, really. And Undercheck, this is huge for the Grand Prix. If Matty now holds up Nassi a little bit, but he doesn't. Matty seemingly a bit overwhelmed on these older medium tyres, and now's the question, how overwhelmed is Wigan and Beatty going to be on those older tyres as well, and how well is Beatty's tyres held on through this first stint? Undercheck already past Wigan. Nassi's going to want to clear him on this straight, and he absolutely will by the look of things. Oh, round the outside for Nassi. It's bold, it's brave, it's brilliant from Nassi 31 that. Just finds a little bit of a gap, and he absolutely makes that work. Now then, Undercheck versus Beatty. No DRS for the first 2 laps after the safety car restart. Nassi's there as well, and Beatty's going to try to hold up Undercheck a little bit. He's sure going to try to, but Undercheck finds a gap on the inside. Ah, this is interesting because Nassi goes down the inside as well. He's going to be able to make that work. Oh, McLaren going to be able to make that work. Beatty has to take to the escape road. Nassi takes the lead of the Grand Prix away. And Beatty goes flying into the wall after contact with Djokovic. It was a costly switch of positions between the two McLarens. Beatty not really being able to rejoin the track in the safest manner, I would imagine. But he makes contact with Djokovic on the re-entry. Nassi is taking the lead away from Undercheck, crucially though, and on a better tyre. Now, this race is well and truly on. It's a sacrificial lamb situation at the moment for a Beaton. I'm sure it wasn't meant, but it was absolutely brilliant up until that point. How they just maneuvered themselves ahead of Undercheck. It was absolutely brilliant to watch. Undercheck is going to be less than delighted with that effort, but I'm sure the racer that he is, he's got to respect that effort. That was absolutely brilliant. Up until the re-entry, now seeing Beatty down in last and having to make a pit stop. That's going to be costful. That is going to be really costful. But this won't matter one bit, let me tell you, if Nassi can't shake Undercheck on this next lap, because DRS is being enabled on this lap. And we've seen Undercheck do this Nassi a couple of times now, where he just waits him out and snatches the position whenever he pleases. Nassi needs to shake Undercheck now. Djokovic at the moment, he does need to get ahead of Nassi as well, start bringing the championship points in, because he's not in a position that he's too used to. He's chasing. Two Williams having a good race should be mentioned up in P4 and 5 as well. So is Wigan up in P6 having a very, very good race. Darren looks like he might be on an upswing of form as well. P8 at the moment for the Swede. Calm and relaxed at the front for the time being. Nassi and Undercheck. Undercheck getting closer, not close enough, and this looks like something we've seen a couple of times now. Padarang maybe down the inside of Wigan heading into turn 1. That was bold, it was opportunistic, but just got the car in there, forcing his way through. Padarang's up to P6. Oh, Danny getting very close to the back of Wigan there, heading through turn 4 as well. A little ding-dong with Darren and a hybridist. I believe Darren's gone slightly wide, making contact with the Aston Martin. And Iwatts is right there as well. Evan Wigan was P6 just a couple of corners ago. Now he's going to find himself in P8 after this corner. No, Danny's not quite close enough. Stuff's going on behind him. Hybrid and Olark, so almost sends Hybrid into a spin, making contact with the inside of Olark's side pod. Yet again then, round 3, take 3. Just getting closer, but not quite close enough for Undercheck. Djokovic sitting back, just watching this, hoping to take any sort of spoils coming out of this battle as well. Padarang 3.3 seconds up to Squidge and Spenclose. Squidge and Spenclose at the moment sitting in a quite comfortable situation at the moment, running pretty alone in P4 and P5. We've had a problem. It involves Wigan and it involves no Larks. The two guys who switched teams with each other a couple of rounds back now, I believe with some sort of contact going through turn 3. It's taking both of them out of contention for some reason. I don't know quite what went on there. Looked aggressive all throughout the midfield on lap 13 and 14 though. Danny now getting closer to back of Padarang. And that's what I told you earlier in qualifying, that little downshift going through the last corner from Danny just gives him that much better of a drive at Padarang coming out of the last corner. Padarang could do nothing about it, and that move probably would have been done regardless of DRS or not, but Danny getting it done nice and early there. Good racecraft, good overtake. Nasi still ahead of Undercheck, mind you. Lap 16 out of 33. Nasi's tyres. I think it's good for Nasi that it's in the lead at Grand Prix for the time being. Avit is going to be praying for yet another safety car because he's going to be bored out of his mind running 23 seconds behind anyone. It's going to turn into about 5 seconds behind Wigan in a moment. He's not going to be overly enthusiastic about this one. Padarang sticking with Danny DC quite well here. And both the Williams are just running in their own little race in P4 and 5 at the moment, picking up all the points that they need to. I doubt they're gonna be interested in racing each other too hard, because that's gonna leave them to Danny potentially gaining a couple of seconds and getting involved in this. They might, however, be slingshotting each other a bit further. No, I got a bit twitchy from Spenclose there, moving to the inside. The Williams outfit, which we've seen, sorry, I completely missed Undercheck getting past for the lead. Probably a standard DRS overtake into the fast corner, but Undercheck is in the lead of the Grand Prix here on lap 17 out of 33, as that stuff was just getting cagey between the Williams as well. We've seen these Williams drivers be fantastic teammates over the course of the season. I'm pointing out especially France, we saw some perfect teamwork between the two. Now, was that the first bit of fraction between them that's going to see some sort of implosion over the course of this race? We'll wait and see. A little bit of wear and tear by the look of things on Squidge's side pods. Exact same wear on the exact same wear on Spenclose. I reckon that's just slight contact. No damage though. Undercheck almost now a full second ahead of Nasi, not quite though. Nasi cannot let him break that 1 second gap. If he does, they have a problem. Nasi might have a problem with Djokovic quite soon. Worth pointing out as well that the record for the most NEF1 wins in a row, that's 5 wins, set by Matty MC back in Season 2, so it's a long time ago. Winning every single race between, I think it was Britain and Imola back in Season 2. 5 wins in a row, uncontested. It was absolutely... it wasn't brilliant to watch. It was absolutely painful to watch. And it was painful to try to do commentary on. But it was good racing indeed. But if Undercheck wins here tonight, he'll bring his total tally up to 4, which means 2 more races to break, 1 more race to equal. And now we're talking about Grand Prix. Sprints do not count into the equation. But Undercheck's getting close to that NEF1 record. No one's ever done more than 5 in a row, which I was quite surprised about. I was talking to Matty earlier about it. I was quite surprised that no one's done more than 5. But it's been competitive. Basically, ever since Season 4, it's been incredibly competitive for the championship. A lot of championship deciders in Abu Dhabi. Djokovic here trying to do everything he can to just get by Nasi. Could be huge for the championship. Nasi's not really going to put up too much of a fight. Djokovic had the run on him. He's up in the P2. Now see if Djokovic has any more luck trying to stick with Undercheck here. It's on the same strategy, Djokovic and Ondřejček. So it's pure pace as Djokovic, just a little bit of snap coming round turn 4. That could have been huge. Could have been absolutely massive. Djokovic usually fancying quite a slippy car in a straight line. See if he's able to stay with Ondřejček through these last 2 corners. Seemingly is. Oh, I believe that was fully flat through the last corner. Might have lost a bit of momentum. But now BT's retired from the session coming out of turn 4, and that's a safety car. Oh, BT triggering the safety car that he would have been hoping for. Probably coming out of turn 4, that. Just losing the rear of his car, and that's huge for Ferrari. Now only one McLaren in this fight, and Danny's doing rather well at the moment. Oh, and how Nassi would have loved to pit to a new medium tire just as that was happening. But the question is, who comes into the pit lane now? Danny does, for sure. There's no point in him not doing it. No Log's too far behind to grab that position anyways. And if Danny does, surely both the Williams do. So they're probably going to start preparing to not double stack soon. So I believe we can see now. Spenclow's just slowing down so Squidge can get ahead. And if they do, there's no real reason for Nassi to, but he's not going to know that both the Williams put out of him. Now, these two, it's a bit of a different call. Ondřejček and Djokovic. Depends on who pits behind them. That's what they'll want to know. That is what they'll want to know, and they won't know. Still 13 laps to go in this race. We're still a long way from the checkered flag. Ondřejček comes in, Djokovic comes in, Nassi comes in. Squidge still a ways from the pit lane. Comes in, and Spenclow's comes in. I think everyone's going to come in at this stage. The question is what tyres go on, soft or mediums. Soft tyres goes on Ondřejček's car, soft tyres goes on Nassi's car. As for the Ferrari of Djokovic, soft tyres. Oh well, we've got a fight to the line, guys. We have got an absolute fight to the line. Might be a problem this for Williams. I don't think so though. Depends on where Danny is. Just coming up behind, but Spenclow's comfortably able to get out ahead. Soft tyres going on everyone's car then, which means everyone's going to have to pit, or they'll be seriously outmatched. Tell you who doesn't pit. Hadarang, did he just get that pit stop in a lap ahead? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That is a lap of unnecessary wear, though, and with 13 laps left to go. It's the hard thing, because mediums realistically would be better if you're towards the rear of this pack. Say if you're a Matty, maybe you should go for a set of medium tires. However, if you're at the front, you need to go soft, because you're going to be doing battling, out of your mind. However, if I'm Matty or someone like that right now, I'm putting on a set of medium tires. I don't believe Matty's even coming to pit though. No, he's not. And on those hard tires, he's not going to be able to get very much done. Danny, 8 lap all mediums. That's not worked out for the. Ferrari driver. There, 8 lap all mediums. Probably not going to make the end of the race. And this is now a position, or this is now a problem, because he's going to lose too many positions if he comes in again. He's going to have to make those work. Safety cars coming in this lap as well. Can't afford to pit. Just this carnage coming up behind. And are we going to get penalties for that? Because Hadarang touched the back of the Ferrari. So Ondřejček is going to be controlling this restart. I don't believe so. See, even on when Ondřejček decides to go probably mid-corner, yes he does. Hard for anyone to follow through. And the race is restarted here. Djokovic is getting close to Ondřejček. Is he going to send one down inside in turn 1? Oh, he could have. Maybe even should have, because he had the run on him. Oh, that was close. Djokovic getting so close to the back of Ondřejk, who just held on there. That could have been massive for the race. Now I'm really interested in this. Danny on those medium tires, surely. Padrang has flown past on the restart. Hybrid goes past Danny. Now having an issue with iWatts, who's gone past. There's an AlphaTauri of Nolax. The two make contact, but Nolax is going past on the soft. Danny, oh, that medium tire straight out of points from P6 on the restart. That's not worked out. Wigan on the hards, not going to have it that easy. Matty on the hards, not going to be able to do a lot either. But Danny, that restart went as badly as it could have. Now then, Djokovic incredibly close to the back of Ondřejk. Now, Nasi not really able to follow Djokovic as close. Is Djokovic maybe the guy who needs to challenge Ondřejk tonight? Well, looks like it by the look of things right now, because he's going to take the lead away from Ondřejk on lap 23 out of 33. 10 laps to go here, 11 laps if you count this one. And Djokovic is in the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time this evening. Squidge is involved in this as well. Spenclose just falling that little bit behind, but Hybrid not able to follow the Williams yet again. And Padrang is diving down his inside, turns into the outside for turn 5. A little bit of infield battle going on between the Aston Martin, who touch a couple of times, but nice and fair throughout. But Djokovic's car looked incredibly slippy in a straight line, must be said. Now, is that going to be a problem for Ondřejk to deal with when he tries to get past? And Squidge close to the back of Nasi, not quite close enough. DRS is not enabled quite yet, but it will be rather soon. Djokovic at the moment, though, is pulling away slightly from Ondřejk. Let's see what he can do over the course of this lap. 7 tenths is the gap. The question is, if you're Djokovic, do you use a bit of battery to try to pull ahead, or do you save battery for the onslaught that is surely to come? I think you just save to try to defend. We've seen a couple of times the defense isn't impossible around this track. It is hard, though. Nasi's not really doing Djokovic any favours, just barely staying within DRS as things stand. Could leave him vulnerable to Squidge. Could very well leave him vulnerable to Squidge. Five tenths of a second, Djokovic and Ondřejk. Nasi still in contention for that P1 slot, 8 tenths behind Ondřejk. And DRS is going to be enabled for the first time this lap. And Ondřejk is gaining rather rapidly on Djokovic now. Where does he go? Outside, inside? No, Ondřejk just stays behind. Djokovic parks his car in the middle. Styling defense, but there's a lot of laps of this onslaught to come. There is a lot of laps for this to go on. Danny's fall down the order seems to have halted as well, should be worth pointing out in P11, but it was not a good restart for the Ferrari man. Nolark's very close to the back of Padrang as well. 2 tenths is the gap. Might we perhaps see a move down around the outside of turn 10? Almost tries to set Padrang up to go a little bit wide, but sausage curbs on the inside, can't really cut the corner, and that halted Nolark's plan somewhat. Now then, let's see. Djokovic 5 tenths ahead, 4.5 tenths ahead, 4 tenths ahead of Ondřejk. Forces Djokovic to go on the defensive and doesn't go for the move. So Ondrzejczyk playing this one smart. He's just waiting out Djokovic once again. Now we're gonna see him take the lead away from someone on the last lap for the third race in a row. That'd be brilliant, but it'd be cruel by Ondrzejczyk at this stage. But the thing is, he won't want to let Djokovic have a go at him again. Djokovic has now shown he's well and truly capable of overtaking Ondrzejczyk. Djokovic has been in this situation many a times though, especially a couple of times when he was fighting Gonzo back in Season 5. They had a couple of close battles. But Ondrzejczyk's putting the pressure on like really no one else does in NEF1 at the moment. It's a little bit further back on this attempt though, might allow Djokovic to just rest easy for a lap. Ondrzejczyk gets closer, but nowhere near close enough. Squidge has actually taken Nassi for P3 as well. Up into the podium places for the first time in quite a while. It's the Williams driver. Nicely done. Nassi not really having the race that he would have fancied heading into this one. Darren very close to the back of I was. This for the last points paying position as well. Danny is there and his mediums, he's on 1 mediums to be fair. I was gonna say his mediums are gonna come into their own, but it's not a guarantee that they will. We are approaching the last couple of laps of this race, ladies and gentlemen, and at the moment Djokovic is actually leading from Ondrzejczyk and Squidge. Nassi's had a decent race, but not really showed that oomph that was perhaps needed in order to secure a win here. Still a couple of laps left to go, shouldn't say anything. Because here goes Ondrzejczyk on Djokovic. He's closer this time than he has been before. Turns to the inside, and Djokovic is not going to be able to defend this one. Maybe around the outside, but no. Just gives it up for the time being. Live to fight another day, but it gets closer. Going on a run maybe through turn 4. Just being forced a little bit wide due to the dirty air there, and Djokovic down into P2 once again. Ondrzejczyk taking the lead of the Grand Prix away, lap 28 out of 20, or 33, sorry. Worth pointing out as well this season that drivers have gone on win streaks at the moment. Nassi won the first 2 races, Djokovic won the following 3. Beatty with an outlier win in Monaco, and then Ondrzejczyk won the 3 races after that. When you stop winning a race in NEF1, no one at the moment has been able to regain the momentum to win another one this season. Djokovic at the moment quite close to doing so. Nassi was incredibly close last week out. But I do find it a bit curious that the wins come in streaks like that. Djokovic and Ondrzejczyk, that car's looking slip in a straight line. Looking very slip in a straight line. See if he can keep this pressure up on Ondrzejczyk and he might be able to crack him. Might be able to do what Ondrzejczyk does to other drivers. So Ondrzejczyk is going to be very wary of what Djokovic's trying to do right now. Oh, that is a sort of mistake from Djokovic that he can't afford though. That's gonna just leave him a bit dry through that corner. You can just see Ondrzejczyk pulling away a little bit on the exit there. That's due to the loss of grip that Djokovic had from just having a bit of gravel on his tyres. Can't afford too many of those. 4 laps to go. Djokovic's getting closer to Ondrzejczyk. He doesn't want to go for a move down to turn 1. He's waiting, I would imagine, for lap 32. Hybrid has gotten past Spenklos. Spenklos not really having a brilliant second or third stage in this race that he had in the second stage. Him and his teammate for Williams were just running unopposed, really, in P4 and P5. Then the safety car came and sort of ruined that. Obviously, one of them made his way up into P3, which is absolutely brilliant. Nasi's still putting the pressure on. Spenklos dropping a position though to Hybrid, but keep in mind the track limits penalty will be applied after the race. If Spenklos is just doing what he's doing now, he'll regain that position on penalties. Djokovic very close to the back of Ondřejek still. Ondřejek's now going to be fully wary of what Djokovic wants. And the question is, well and truly now, at this circuit, can you overtake at will? That is what we're going to see. We're not going to see it this lap, we're going to be seeing it next lap. Djokovic is not going to try to overtake Ondřejek on this lap, surely, unless Ondřejek gives him a very good reason to. Djokovic might not be able to overtake him. No, he can't. Lap 31, let me just do the math on this. Ondřejek was now maybe in a better position to win the race than it was a lap ago. However weird that sounds. This is a game of DRS chicken, and Ondřejek just absolutely, no defense whatsoever. He did not mind Djokovic going past one bit. Okay, this has turned interesting. I did not see that coming whatsoever. I thought these guys feel each other out quite well and it was all going to come down to one single lap, but no. It's going to come down to two. Whomever's leading in about 30 seconds time is not in a good position. It sounds so absurd saying whoever's leading in 30 seconds is not in the best position to win this one. Djokovic versus Ondřejek. Ondřejek is even going to try to overtake Djokovic at the end of this one. Is Djokovic just going to straight let him by? And they're going so slowly. They are going so slowly on lap 32 out of 33, and now it's a straight battle. Both have probably saved as much as they can. Danny is stationary at the end of sector 3 at the penultimate corner. He's not had a good race, Danny, whatsoever. He'll be glad that it's over relatively soon. Matty's not had a good race either. That's the first two NEF1 champions with an absolutely abysmal session. Matty usually pulls out a belter in Spain, as previously mentioned. Wasn't able to do so today. Danny not having a very good day at the office either. Now, let's see. We are going to go down this back straight one more time. Djokovic or Ondřejek, who has the better straight line speed, and how aggressive does Djokovic go? And how quick is Ondřejek in a straight line? Because he's going to have to work for this one. He's close as we're heading into the last corner, and this might not work out well for Djokovic. It might well be 3 in a row. Djokovic has not aced the final corner. Here we go, Ondřejek with the DRS. Djokovic, you're in trouble, son, because Ondřejek is right there. Djokovic's going to have to try something bold down the inside and braking somebody can't. And Ondřejek, for the third race in a row, takes the lead away on the last lap, and I can't see a scenario now. I can't see a scenario now where Djokovic's able to get ahead of Ondřejek yet again. Djokovic, claiming the lead just a lap or two early, would have had to wait for this lap 32 to come around. Ondřejek knew that. He waited him out, and Djokovic, it's probably going to be to a very well-deserved P2, but it's going to be disappointing for him. Ondřejek, just a master of racecraft once again. As I think we can confirm now, unless anything major happens, we are on the last lap, and that streak increases to 4. Ondřejek plays a brilliant one. Once again, it's not been easy for him, but he's won that battle, and he's done it brilliantly. Ondřejek crosses the line to make it 4 in a row on his NEF1 return. Djokovic did everything he could, but he finishes half a second behind in the end, losing the lead on the final lap and giving Ondřejek a little love bump just for good time's sake. That was the AI, not Djokovic, worth pointing out. Iwat does manage to make the best out of a bad situation at the start and does grab a solitary point for Alpine, much needed. And he's actually going to make that 2 points because of Darren's penalty ahead. Darren drops out of points there, Wigan taking the position away. Squidge grabs a podium for the first time in a little while, if I'm not mistaken, in P3, followed by Nassi in P4, off the podium for the first time in a long time. Spenclose in P5, followed by Hybrid in P6, Nolarks in P7, leading AlphaTauri this weekend. Double points finish for Aston Martin, with Padarang scoring another 4 points as well. Iwat with 2 points for Alpine. Djokovic, for some reason, has been DNF'd from this session. That's not going to stand, so don't mind the podium order here. No clue what went on there. But that is a race and a half. But once again, Ondrejek emerging victorious. Been an absolute force of nature ever since he rejoined NEF1, and now up to over 100 points in 4 races. It is it's worthy of having a look at almost. It's absolutely brilliant from Ondrejek. Incredible drive, and he's genuinely placing himself, maybe only racing just a little over half of the season. He's placing himself in championship contention with these results. If he keeps doing this, very well could be up there. Nassi sees himself on the podium, is not going to be on the podium after the post-race results have been finalized. That space belongs to Djokovic. It is Nassi in P4, followed by Spenclose in P5 and Hybrid in P6. Nolarks in P7, followed by Padarang in P8, Iwat in P9 and Wigan in P10. Denstall just missing 100 points in P11. Djokovic does claim a consolatory point as well for fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Matty, Danny and Beatty, the entire admin team, missing out on the points this time for the first time. I don't know ever. Might have to fact check that one actually. Yeah, not a good weekend for both Matty, Danny, Beatty crashing out relatively early on. Whew. That is a race and a half over and done with. Ondrejek, brilliant result once again to bring home the 25 points to Mercedes. Mercedes who move up further in the constructors' standings, and they'll keep moving up for a little while as long as Ondrejek remains there, I'm sure, with the pace that he is currently displaying. Until then, next week we are back. Oh, sorry, a little bit of a voice crack there or something. We will be back in Belgium for the first time in a long time next week out in NEF1 for yet another sprint. The second to last batch of sprints that we got coming this season. After this, we're moving into Asia for the last tour of the season, along with the Americas. But as said, that's all in a week's time. Thank you so much for joining us over the course of this event, over the last 2 hours or so. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I do apologize for my delightful commentary in qualifying early on. Hopefully the race made up for it. Until next week then, same time next week, Monday night at 9 PM, you know where to be when NEF1 returns.